Yes, we are.
Okay, thank you. I wanted to, let me see if there are questions from our last meeting, or questions about anything that has crossed your mind, or something that you read during the course of this day or last night.
It's, excuse me, Rip. You didn't have to record on when you told the date and time what we're doing. Now
Okay,
you can
thank
supposed to
you.
say it.
Thank you, Charles. Let me reiterate, I did it without being recorded. March 24th, 2025 is this date, on a Monday. And I'm asking if there are any questions that you have in regards to anything that we've talked about, or anything that has come to your mind or come to your attention.
Yes, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I had sent family on the line. I had sent Reverend Richards this because it was sent to me, and some of you may have received it. So I sent it to him to ask him what his thoughts was, and I'm gonna read it. It says, "It's best to be prepared. This may be upsetting, however, it is important. Those who work in high positions within the Social Security Department are sounding the alarm. Elon Musk and Trump are about to cause the Social Security Department to collapse. The most important advice that they offer is to go into your Social Security account and download a hard copy of your lifetime work record. It is easy to do." And then it's gone down here to say, if you have never been to the website before, and it tells you how to go into the website. But my this may seem extreme, but if Musk deletes all the Social Security records in his purge, and you don't have a copy of your own information, they can easily say that you don't have a work record and deny you any Social Security payments. If you have a copy of your own records, denying you would be much more difficult. If we don't need it, no file. If we do need it, it's better to have access to it on our computer. And then it say, please share. So I sent to Reverend Richard to ask him what his thoughts was.
And my thoughts are, leave it alone, because you do not want to put your information out there online, not knowing whether this is valid or not. The other part of it is this: there will be enough people um, who will be handling this, especially white people who are on fixed incomes. So you don't have to be concerned about it. And I said to Kat, I sent a message to Kathy saying that the same thing, that I did not really want to think that you should be involved with that. So my words, exact words were, be very careful with exposing your personal information on a site that is suspect and extremely suspicious. I'm not going to do it. If they do what is indicated in that message, white folk are going to be affected also. Let them deal with it. You can raise the question this evening, as I said, as she did a moment ago. So all I'm simply saying that this is not something to draw us out either, because for some reason, I believe it's a ploy to get people's information, and I believe it's phishing. So that's it. Thank you. Any questions about that? Okay. So are there any questions about what we discussed yesterday, or anything that has come to your attention that you would like to bring up? Okay. Um, there was something that I want to at least approach. I'll bring to your attention. We talked about the way that Joy Reid was dismissed from MSNBC, and other people of color, primarily Africans, have been released from other news programs. I believe it was very necessary for that to happen. And the reason I say that is because just like we are not in the streets fighting the battle for those who should be fighting their own battle, I do not believe that people of her stature who are committed to telling the truth regardless of the consequences should be subjected to the manipulation or the pressures of a producer who's being pressured by the chairman or the CEO to make things more palatable than rather than telling the truth. So I don't want us to get bent out of shape when things like that happen. There are a lot of things that are going on that are designed to push us to a place where we will react. Right now, we are responding, but the last thing you would want to do is to react. Responding is different. I remember years ago when Barbara taught a lesson about the difference between responding and reacting, and I never forgot that. Reaction is something that you do immediately without thought. Responding is something that you give thought to and do it in a manner that is more effective than it would be if you are reacting. Any questions about that? Okay. Yesterday we had a discussion about sexuality, primarily focused on homosexuality, and how our thoughts, our approach, our belief system are needed to be altered when it comes to that because of how we have been indoctrinated church-wise. The Bible has been used to justify the discrimination, to justify the alienation of those who are engaged, those who are homosexual. And as I think Ron presented yesterday, that as the group, the community, in what's the book? The Spirit of Intimacy, how they regarded homosexuals as being gatekeepers. And we also talked about that homosexual are both male and female in terms of their desires, actions, emotions, etc. And we felt like it was not our place to pass judgment on anybody, but to embrace everyone for who they are, because no one woke up one morning and decided that they were going to be homosexual, knowing that they would be castigated for it, knowing that they would be ostracized, and knowing that the church was not going to accept you unless you were born to the right family, or unless you were born in a family who pays the right amount of money. So we concluded that our embrace of homosexuals is no different than our embracing humanity altogether. Thank you. Ron? Okay. So are there any questions about that or comments?
Good afternoon. Well, it's evening. This is Mary. I was thinking about that as when I listened to the discussion yesterday, and I really felt bad about the thoughts that I had about homosexuals or people with sexual, because you're right, no one woke up saying they're going to be their way, and to have to deal with all the discrimination from Black, white, church, everywhere, and the church use you almost like pimping you out when they want a good choir and a good musician. And I've had plenty of opportunities to work, but one thing I ought to work around a lot of homosexuals, but I missed out on so much because I remember going to a conference, and this guy was Native American, and we couldn't tell if he was male or female. and he was talking a little bit about his the way he was perceived in his Native American setting, but because of my closed-mindedness, I missed it. I really hate that I missed that opportunity to learn more about another culture. So I am apologetic, but that's in the past, and I know better, and I know we're all one. We came from the same source, but I just want to share how bad I felt about that. Me and my judgmental attitude as a Christian, and that they're going to hell. So just wanted to share that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary, for being so open about it. I concur with you wholeheartedly because I as so many on this on Zoom or on the phone right now have been in the same place where you were, and we've had to purge ourselves of the misinformation that we have been given in regards to that, and to come to an understanding that even though we are Elohim, we're not judges. We have no right to judge anyone. We have enough trouble trying to actually deal with ourselves to be trying to put someone in a category that is a category that's derogatory, or a category that says to them, you're not good enough, or you're not enough, you're worse than all of us. All of that came through Christianity and Islam primarily, and we have to disengage from that because people are against homosexuality until their child or their brother or their sister or someone is homosexual, and then it changes, or it changes for the worse or the better, in that they embrace it, or changes for the worse because they ostracize them from the family or from the community. And like you said, the church does use those use homosexuals for what they can get out of them, and at the same time railing against them in their presence. And the thing that got me is that I was guilty of it, as I said yesterday, and I had to apologize for it because it was definitely wrong. Railing against homosexuality and from a pulpit or from a place of authority is no different than someone in a place of authority railing against Black people or railing against people of color. We are relegating them to being less than we are, or we are saying that we are superior to them because they go into hell or they don't deserve justice, that kind of a thing. So we must remember that when we are traveling this journey of truth, there's something that I heard a preacher say, and he said that, trying to think his name, Reverend Obama's pastor, who Obama had to disavow in order to be elected, Reverend Wright, Reverend Jeremiah Wright. He said that God didn't call you to be be successful. He called you to be faithful. You were not brought on this journey to blow up. You were brought on this journey to stand up for what is right, to stand up for truth. And if we can keep that in mind, I think it will help us to be stronger when we face issues like that. Because when we capitulate to things like that, we are forgetting that the truth is more powerful and more important than any individual person, i.e., me, you, or anyone else. So I know he was saying it from a church setting, but it makes all the sense in the world to me. And I want to also add to this, even though Christianity has been a source of bondage for us, the church is not something that we should seek to put behind us or to feel like we are superior to, because those people are our people and we are them. And we were in the same place, and we would still be there if it were not for a desire to search for truth, and if it were not for the innate power and strength that we have, that we recognize and hold on to move forward. I can attest to the fact that I struggled when I knew it was time for me to leave the area of Christianity and the church as it has been established. I struggled with that, and I struggled with it because there were people who I thought were my friends, and because I thought differently, and they could not prove me wrong in what I was saying, they still ostracized me because the leadership said so. And they did not know that the leadership was calling me to get understanding of the scriptures, but it publicly I was being ostracized by that same person. And so I'm saying to you that the pain of hurting people um, simply because you thought you were right, simply because you felt like it would change them. That you don't hurt people for any reason whatsoever. If people are hurt because of the truth, that's one thing. But you don't hurt people because of their sexual orientation. You don't hurt them because of the color of their skin. You don't hurt them even if they have a European mindset. You do everything you can to bring them to a place of balance with the whole of humanity. Any questions or comments?
I guess one of the things I just thought about while you were talking is what just happened as far as starting off listening to what Mary said, and you think about forgiveness and repentance, and how much energy has just been freed. You know, this is since probably the beginning of mankind, at least for the last couple of thousand years. That well, yeah, and how much energy has been freed? How much is how much of us has been freed, from just that one little I'm sorry, I repent from this, I was wrong. Because there must be a lot of energy in this, or I don't think we'd be talking about it. And I think this thing we call homosexuality is really a gift from the Creator to us, so that there will be love in the earth. There will be uh, something that is needed. And I'm not sure I understand it all, but that's okay.
And neither do I, Ron. I don't think I understand it all either. I I do believe that the ancestors are endeared by us discussing this
Yeah.
because we're putting it in the macro. And by doing so, we are in the process of freeing people to be who they are, freeing people to embrace who they are. Because, quite frankly, I know some of them are dead now, but some of them are not. I know pastors who railed against homosexuality, and they were homosexuals themselves. And so they were living a lie and preaching a lie. And my desire, our desire, I'm sure, I can say that for all of us, is that those who have been hiding in the shadows will come out of the shadows into the light, and because of what we are putting in the macro, to be embraced by those who are seekers of truth, to be embraced by those who don't see any difference in them than we do in ourselves, to remove the stigma from being homosexual. Because the most stigmatized group who are homosexual are men as opposed to females. And that is something that I do believe we need to embrace wholeheartedly, so that they don't feel like they have to live in the shadows anymore. And I also believe that in the process of putting this in the macro, those who are in churches or in synagogues or in mosques will embrace this energy of the sameness in terms of humans being human and not putting someone in a place where they are treated less than human. And honestly, all of these things, uh, these policies and principles that brought us to this place were put in place by those who are less than human. You can't denigrate people like that. You cannot seek to destroy humans and not be less than human. When you are when you are when you embrace the totality of your humanity, there are things that you simply cannot do, and there are things that you simply cannot tolerate anymore. And if we were to truly look at the scriptures for who they are, and I say who on purpose, we would understand that our purpose in this earth is to clear up all of this false sense of spirituality called religion. Is incumbent upon us to make sure that we don't engage people who are treating humanity or treating portions of humanity as if they are something nasty. I also keep in mind that whether it be a homosexual or whether it be an Asian, a Japanese, or a white woman, all of them have benefited from something that we never benefited from. All of them have benefited from the principle of what they call DEI and what's the affirmative action. We we are the ones who push for equality through those measures, and were the ones who least benefited from it. However, we must not seek any revenge or be angry about it, because we are the children of Kabbalah, who are indestructible. Uh, the humanity of our essence cannot be destroyed, nor can it be altered. Even though we have been inundated with the education of a European mind, we have also held on to the essence of our being. We've never really lost everything that we brought with us across the Atlantic Ocean. We have simply had to push it down or to suppress it. But now that we are seeking the truth, we are beginning to see that those things that were suppressed are now coming to light. And the things that we have been speaking have been African from the beginning. In the beginning was God. I want to read something to you in regards to that. Ron, I see you come.
Sure.
This is the belief from the pygmy, and this comes from a book that Sheldon sent to me, African Religions and Philosophy, and I'm most appreciative for this. In the beginning was God. Today is God. Tomorrow will be God. Who can make an image of God? He has no body. He is a word which comes out of your mouth. The word, it is no more. It is past and still it lives. So is God. Is that not, does that not tantamount to what is said in the first chapter, first verse of John? In the beginning was God. That was a hymn that was introduced by what are called pygmies, but actually the Twa people, and they were the first people on earth. So that says to me that much of which has been uh, placed in scripture and the efforts to manipulate it, what was in play in terms of spiritual awareness from the beginning. And I think the more that we see things like this and embrace them, the more we will be in a position to function based upon the inherent power that the Creator has endowed us with. Ron?
I don't want to digress or take it back any, but I was just thinking of you mentioned the stigma that are on homosexual men. Uh, isn't it ironic though that that energy is from men, from the same men that have put their stamp on everything that's out there. So it is not the feminine energy that does it, it's masculinity. And it just reminded me of the scripture where David says, you don't let men punish me. You know, God, I'd rather you do it. Uh, because the judgment of those who call themselves leaders or chiefs or whatever is unmerciful. So that that energy that you talk about is part of the struggle now that we're dealing with. It's the struggle that we see coming out of Washington. It's the struggle that you see uh, from out of Europe, you know. So
Yeah,
all of that has to be dealt with at I guess at the same time. And
well, you're right. It does have to be dealt with at the same time. Um,
but that's not feminine energy that's doing that.
no, no, it is not. It is misappropriated masculinity, actually. And it's misappropriated in that those who are projecting on other people who they are not aware of the true essence and meaning of masculinity. They themselves have made efforts to define what masculinity is, and the way they define it is based upon how they treat feminine energy or femininity, and we know that every effort has been put forth to keep uh, fem, uh, feminine energy on the foot as opposed to a companion for bringing peace to the earth. This whole thing, when we talk about um, white women suffering because of their choices, keep in mind we don't talk about white men going to wish they had not done what they did, because white men have always wanted to be as Donald Trump is. That's not new. But white women have always been in bondage to white men, and they have a choice, and they were given a choice by an African woman to follow righteousness, to follow a journey that would bring um, balance to the earth, and they chose not to. I do believe that the whole thing with Kamala was to as I think I said before, lay a foundation for what is to be in terms of a nation. Any questions or comments about that? Um, I'm not just talking to prolong things, but when Ron said that about David, uh, David means the beloved one. And that is talking about when you are aware of how the depth of the love that the Creator has for you, you understand that the Creator is merciful, and those who those who seek to do you harm are unmerciful. So I do believe that when David made that was making that statement, it was about those who are aware of the depth of the love that the Creator has for them. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And
Yep.
so when we thank you, so when we truly embrace the heart of the Creator, it really doesn't matter what others try to do to us, because we are hidden on the shadow of His wings, and meaning that we are in a protected place, and and we are able to say with power and authority, especially during this period of time, what we see in this earth. Though I walk through the shadows of the valley of death, I will fear no evil. Think about that. Even though I am walking in the midst of death, I fear no evil. I'm not afraid of those who are unripened. Even though I am in the crosshairs of those who seek to destroy me, even though I'm in the crosshairs of those who don't see me as being human, I don't fear them. I don't fear their unrightness, because I am a righteous man. I am ripe with the understanding of spirituality, and there is nothing that can subvert that. Think about those words. Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. And think about the idea, the concept. I don't want to be at the table with them at all, because there is a table that the Creator has prepared for us. And we are currently eating from that table. And to sit at the table with your enslavers, your persecutors, to desire to have a seat at the table with barbarians is not a desirable thing. It's not a place where those who are well aware of who they are and how they came to be, there's not a place you really want to be when you think about it. Even if you were at the table, what would you do? What would you say? Regardless of what you say, it is not acceptable. Regardless of what you say, what you have to offer, it is seen as being from someone who does not possess the intellectual ability to have an understanding of anything that's going on at the table. And what really is happening is righteousness cannot sit at the table of unrighteousness. You can't eat from a table of evilness. And I'm going to carry this a step further. In some way, somehow, we have to be so emphatic about the detriment that Christianity has inflicted on people of color, and Africans in particular. We have to somehow be able to express it in a way that people will walk away from that table of Christianity and see that this was not an Atlantic slave trade. This was a Christian slave trade. Without Christianity, it wouldn't have happened, couldn't have happened, couldn't have sustained itself. So let's not make any effort to sit at the table. There was no seat at the table for Kamala Harris. Even though she thought it was, the table that she would have sat at is the table that has enslaved us. And she would not have been able to do what is needed to be done. And what needed to be done is what's happening right now. She was too compassionate, too merciful, too kind, too loving to do what needed to be done. And we must follow that journey of understanding that you can't sit at the table unless you agree with the evilness that's at the table. Again, Jeremiah Wright, we were not brought here to be successful. We were brought here to be faithful. Be faithful to who we are. How success is defined in this earth is a detriment to humanity. Look at those who are quote unquote successful and see what they are doing to humanity as we speak. But being faithful to this journey says that we have the power. We have the innate authority to release these who think they are successful from the places of authority, that they may be either redeemed or replaced or sent to a place where they are no longer a threat to humanity. It doesn't matter which one happens as long as it does. Questions, comments? Ron?
Thank you.
People of a cable line? Let your cry continue to be for peace. Don't cry about what happened to us. Shed tears for those who are the essence of evil and don't understand where it leads. Shed tears for those who should be on this journey with us, but have chosen to continue embracing a mindset of detriment. Shed tears, not for ourselves, but for those who the Creator has spoken to us about. Those who truly want peace, truly want to see humanity function as one unit, as opposed to a splinter group that is easily controlled. If the breath has to leave the bodies of those who are exercising their barbaric nature in order for peace to come, so let it be. And I say to that, Ashe, it doesn't matter to me how it happens, as long as it is done through love, respect, kindness, mercy. The worst thing in the world is not leaving your body. The worst thing in the world is being in this body and being destructive towards humanity and the earth itself. That is the threat that we are facing. So if honestly, if I were told today, in order for things to change, that I have to abandon this body, I'm willing to do it. I have no qualms with that because I truly believe in this journey that we're on. I truly believe that what we are doing is not in vain, not at all. I believe that our perspective is being given to us by our ancestors or by the one who created us through our ancestors. We have made a decision to drink from the fountain of wisdom and to dig wells that are deep enough for the understanding of this wisdom to flow in such a manner that it is accessible to everyone. The simplicity with which we speak says that we have an obligation to make sure people understand what they are facing. This world, this earth belongs to the righteous, but it is being subverted by the unrighteous. To the unrighteous, there is no spirituality, there is no divine wisdom. To the unrighteous, the only wisdom has come from Greece. To the children of Akebalon, we know better. We are the reservoirs of wisdom. And being reservoirs of wisdom doesn't mean that we understand it all, but it does mean that we are open to understand everything that's within us, acknowledging who we are, acknowledging that we have been wrong in many ways during the course of our journey, but at the same time, not being ashamed of your journey because your journey made you who you are. Your journey brought you to this place. So all of those things that you are fearful that others may find out, those things that you are ashamed of, those things that people have used against you, it's okay. Because they are not your judge. You are your own judge. They are not your keeper. You're your own keeper. The life of your being is what you make it to be. There are things that people have done that's reprehensible. However, I don't see any exceptions for forgiveness. I don't see anything that says forgive except for forgive yourself and embrace where you are. As an African, as the embodiment of the energy of life. I don't, I don't seek to belittle or judge anyone. It must be our quest, our desire to bring everyone to a place of deliverance. I almost said salvation, but that's salvation to us is not what it is spiritually. Nobody can deliver you except you. You can hear every word, you can understand every word that is spoken. You can remember every lesson that's been given. Until you desire to be delivered, you will always be in bondage. No one can deliver you. And we're at a stage where pretense is not going to cut it. If you're not true to who you say you are, it will be exposed. Your attitude, your interaction, your true beliefs will be shown. You choose during this period of light. You choose whether you're going to travel this journey on this side of the river. This side of the river is the river of deliverance, or the space of deliverance, or whether you're going to stay on the path that all of us have been on and found no relief, only inherited more grief. These are the choices that we have. They're not multiple choices and they're not difficult choices, but they are real choices. And the ones that we embrace will determine how we what? Endure in this environment that we are currently in. Don't play both sides against the middle. Be true to yourself. If you're not true to yourself, you're lying to yourself. And if you're lying to yourself, you don't know who you are. There's no way a liar can know who they are. Because if they did, they would not find it necessary to lie. Truth, painful, necessary, because truth will help you to see what freedom feels like. All of the burdens that have been placed on us that we had to do ritualistically have been removed. Abandoning the rituals gives us an understanding of self. Our parents, our grandparents, they were not wrong. Had it not been for them, we wouldn't be where we are. They were not wrong. If you really think about it, our forefathers gave us the strength to stand in the face of adversity without flinching. It hurts me to hear people of color, especially Africans, talk about the forefathers of this country. They're not your forefathers. They're barbarians. And you did not come from the womb of a barbarian. How can you say forefathers and they enslaved you and raped our women, beat our men to death, sold our children, crushed the skulls of our babies? Those are your forefathers? I think not. And we don't endeavor to do that to anyone. We simply desire to free everyone from the mindset of the barbarian. That is the reason we're in this earth. That is the reason that we are in this country, to free the mind of the barbarian. In order for us to truly be Elohim, in order for us to truly be God, in order for us to truly be divine in these bodies, we have to free the mindset of those who are in a body as well. And that's not happening without the melanin. And we don't like to think about how the melanin will do that, because we have been taught to stay to ourselves. But if we stay to ourselves, then are we ever going to free humanity from the barbaric energy that permeates the earth? We know what it takes. So let's embrace what it takes. Be who you are. And who you are is divinity. Nothing less, nothing more. And the divine does not sit on a throne and look down on anyone. The divine jumps off of its perch and goes wherever it takes to lift up humanity. I'm done. Questions or comments?
Yeah. Good evening, Pastor. Good evening, everyone. This is GC in Philly. And Pastor, you just mentioned that, again, we are divinity. And I like to share an experience that I had only for the purpose of me being able to appreciate in my ritual and my reading this morning. I was reading about Jesus in terms of the triumphal entry, into Jerusalem. And again, what made me think about us being divinity is that back in October the 16th, 1995, I had the opportunity of going to the Million Man March. And this experience, I think was led, by Louis Farrakhan. But more importantly, I experienced a triumphal entry where, as a African, being able to be in the presence of that energy and a part of that energy. And as we were walking, to the location, of the event, there were African women who were acknowledging us as Africans, basically saying, go ahead, go on, African man. We love you. We appreciate you. We see that passion in terms of why, those who were able to go. But in my own spirit, it made me really feel good to know that we were being supported in terms of looking at that sustainable African manhood, and also in terms of just the feminine um, African womanhood, but it was just something where that synergy of the forces of nature, where I look at it now 30 years later, which would be on October the 16th. But what does it mean? You know what I mean? To me, or what does it mean now when you talk about this energy that's manifesting? And so all of this is now coming together at a time where just to be able to appreciate the love that women had for us men, just to be doing something that we can feel good about knowing that we are men, you know what I mean, of Africanism, of Africa. We are, the child of a Kebelon. We are called for a divine purpose. And I think that, again, we are experiencing it in our own ways, but I just thought the night was a time for me as I was doing some reflection, just to appreciate not only who I am, but to know that collectively, this synergy of force is one that now we can walk in the truth of knowing that we can experience that triumphal entry of us going into this portal or going into this new beginning where we can erase the tape in terms of the thoughts of what people may have, or why are you going there, or not looking at it in terms of denomination, but just sustainable manhood, sustainable womanhood, that we all are one yet many. So I just wanted to share those thoughts because, I truly appreciate, just knowing that we know that we know that we know. I'm done. Thank you for letting me share.
And thank you for sharing it. Appreciate that.
Mhm.
As you mentioned, the triumphal entry, the entry of deliverance into a place of righteousness is always attacked by those who think that they are the powerful ones, by those who think they are our gods. Looking at that entrance, as George said, by Jesus, it was attributed to Jesus. Yeshua means deliverance. So this is speaking to the humility of deliverance itself. Deliverance, if I were to use it in our vernacular, entering the place of execution, was not riding in a limousine. It was actually riding a donkey, representing the humility that it takes to allow all that you thought you were to be executed, so the truth can be resurrected in you. And at the same time, recognizing that this deliverance is the deliverance for all of mankind, though it has not yet manifested. When you were talking, I thought about Wami. Why is it that I have been chosen to lead this journey, and to suffer the indignities or perceived indignities of other men? Why is it that it was a male, a representative of masculinity, and not a female, femininity, the cosmic mother? Why? The vanguard of deliverance is masculine for a reason. Everything that has been detrimental to humanity, to the earth, has come at the hands of masculinity. The African heart of masculinity was chosen to right the wrongs of the African masculinity that bought into a system that sought to destroy everything about us. The cosmic mother has granted us the wisdom to be able to do that. The femininity that the Creator has brought together within this band of teachers. It's the essence of the cosmic mother, surrounded by or traveling with masculinity, who will do anything to protect it, do anything to make sure that it perseveres. Because it was masculinity that subjugated it to what it has endured all of these years. There are times when I'm uncomfortable saying things in regards to having been chosen. I am not the only one who was chosen. So are you. Your life, took on a meaning. And none of us understood that meaning at the time. I didn't. Maybe you did. I had no clue that we would recognize that we have the power to be the tip of the spear that pierced the darkness that separates mankind. I'm grateful. But the thing that I'm most grateful about is this. If the Creator saw fit for me to exit this body, Saturday would come and you would be right where you are now. Because this is not about an individual. This is about being so tightly melded together until there cannot be separation, even if a body is not there. the energy will always be there. I say to you tonight that all of our lives, all lives are important. But the loss of one life does not defeat the journey that we're on, neither does it change it. It intensifies it. I believe that those who have gone on before us, they are the intensity that we experience when we talk about how intense one of our sessions is, or how we're excited about the truth we're being shown. I do believe that those who have gone before us are the authors of the messages that we deliver. And they're the ones who turn in the pages in the book that we are reading. They are the ones who closes the book when it's time for us to end our discussions and save the rest for another day. We are never without their presence, ever. Are there any questions or comments before we conclude?
I have a comment, Pastor. It goes back to the homosexuals and people like that. I remember when I was in the hospital and they had me down in the rehab part of the hospital, and you had taught me a whole lot, but I hadn't really faced that before. So once I was in the rehab, before I went through the door of it, and you had told me about those signs they have on the door, that represent, you're in the room with people with AIDS. And I was sitting in there, and I was just sitting there looking and watching people. And I forgot the guy's name. But anyway, we talked, carried on conversation. And I knew then he's the one with the AIDS. And we still carried on conversation. His friend brought pieces from Pizza Inn or whatever pizza place he bought it. We shared it. We still talk. We shared M&M. Then he finally broke down and told me, said, I have AIDS. I said, yeah, I know. And he looked when I just said it so sullenly. And then he said, I'm homosexual too. I said, I knew that too. I saw the way you touch your partner. And dang, and he said, you know all that, and you didn't say nothing. I said, what I need to say is something for. Because I heard a lot of people back then, because I was hurting and I didn't understand the AIDS. People are human just like I am. And we got on, he said, when I told them I'm a homosexual, everybody stood away from it, but except you. I said, man, they're ignorant in their thinking and their thoughts. So he kept on. He said, that guy over there is, what do you call him, Jehovah's Witness? He just downed me. I said, like I told you, he was ignorant of his thinking. And so he was taught, to be like that.
Yeah.
And he carried on conversating with me every day.
Yeah.
And I don't want to make it too long. This guy had got both his legs cut off. He was crying and crying every day. I don't want to live. I don't want to live. I don't want to live. And I told him, I said, why you still like that? I don't have no legs. Do you see me? I said, man, I don't have but one. I said, no, I know your situation is better than mine, but you gotta understand, you can still live with that. And that day I kept talking with him, He said, every time you talk to me, you never even bring up, I need to be saved. And talking to you, trying to put me in a place of a church. All right. I said, what's up? You gonna reject them if I did? Because right now, you need to live. He thought about that thing. And I pulled him out his depression of want to die. So every day he kept talking to me. He said, you different than that other porter. That's why nobody don't talk to him. He be trying to push his religion on you. You solid with yours. I said, I had a good teacher. And then everybody else started coming to me and talking with me, and then they would say too much to him. So why don't they go talking to him? And after I talked to the Jehovah's Witness guy, then he started trying to push his religion on me. I said, man, we both believe in the same God. I said, it's like this. I don't want to push no religion on you. You're supposed to know it. But you don't lost it somehow. And he didn't understand what I was saying. Then he quit talking to me. And I was trying to talk to him, but I knew that I made him think for what I had told him.
Yeah.
And so that's the thing I had, learned about homosexuals.
Yeah. Thank you, Charles.
You're welcome.
Quite frankly, we were the only church in Gaffney who did not run from AIDS. We went to conferences to learn about it, as opposed to condemn people and run from it. Any other questions or comments? Let me leave you with you and you alone processing within yourself, getting more familiar with the essence of who you are, and actually girding your loins, meaning that preparing for what you're going to face in the coming weeks. That will not come nigh unto you, but the suffering of the people around you. Be prepared for that. Because if you fear it, so will they. Fear is a cesspool of doubt. Knowing is a haven of wisdom and understanding. Know who you are. Have a good evening. And we'll see you on Saturday. Thank you for your presence and your remarks, your input.
Sure.
Good night.
Thank you, and thank you for your covering.
Thank you.
Before we get off,
Thank you.
Charles and Thelma, I would like to offer my condolences in the loss of your
Yeah.
sister.
Yeah, Charles' sister transitioned the other day.
Okay.
Our condolences,
Thank
Charles.
you.
Condolences, George.
Our condolences to you, Charles.
And Kathy,
Thank you, hon.
Kathy